citizens. People who have put their battle in various fields of social and economic, and they bear their minds and their personal journeys through the odyssey of life. They talk about the state of the nation, their country, and our world. That, in a nutshell, is what we do on Guest of the Month. My name is Tola Teriba, one of your anchors on the program. And of course, I have with me my co-anchor, my regular co-anchor, Bola Boduri.
Yeah, it's such a great opportunity again to be here today, and we thank God Almighty for that, for we cannot do anything by our own might or power. So it's still going to be another beautiful edition today, the one you wouldn't want to miss for anything. So stay there, let's do it together. You're most welcome.
Again, on the program today, we have another of the nation's top intellectuals. He is an icon in the private and public sector, a juggernaut in the solid mineral sector, one who is also about to tread the challenging waters of Nigerian politics. A great Nigerian by all standards, an achiever. Like I said, a goldfish that has no hiding place. But before I formally unveil the identity of our guest, let's go right to our studio for a snippet.
Abiodun Oni holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Geology and a Master of Science degree in Sustainability Practice, both from the University of Ibadan. He further qualified with proficiency in Six Sigma processes and Lean techniques, a combination that has anchored over 25 years of purposeful work in the oil and gas industry. His career began in the field and grew steadily through the ranks of some of the world's most respected energy companies. He served as director at Unitech Drilling Company Limited, Nigeria, an oil and gas service company where he was responsible for business development, marketing, and corporate management support services. His professional journey took him through leading multinationals, including General Electric, Baker Hughes Intech, with postings across Canada, Nigeria, Oman, the United Arab Emirates, and Iran, and CGG Veritas of France. Along the way, he worked across diverse cultures and business environments in Equatorial Guinea, the United States of America, Aberdeen, Senegal, Kenya, and the Gambia, each experience deepening his understanding of the global energy landscape. Beyond his technical work, Mr. Oni has demonstrated a broader curiosity about the world. He was the founder and publisher of Kiva magazine and served as co-presenter of the After Radio talk show in Botswana, reflecting an engagement with African trade, policy, and public discourse that extends well beyond the oil field. Governed by the spirit and letter of professionalism, Mr. Oni eventually brought this wealth of international experience home, dedicating it to the service of his people through the government of Oyo State. With demonstrated strengths in leadership, lean management, and interpersonal skills, he served as executive chairman of the Oyo State Mineral Development Agency and commissioner of the Oyo State Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources between 2019 and 2023. He served as Director General, Oyo State Mineral Development Agency in July 2023. Executive Chairman, Pacesetter Mineral Development Company in July 2023 to date. Chairman, Oyo State Mineral Resources and Environmental Management Committee, MIMRECO. Chairman, Nigerian Marble Mining Company. Membership and associations include Member, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, Member, Society of Petroleum Engineers, Member, Project Management Institute outside of work. Mr. Oni is an avid golfer and a passionate follower of football. Abiodun Oni is quality-driven with excellent leadership and interpersonal skills and a track record of delivering results across both the private sector and public service.
So that unravels it all, the identity of our distinguished guest this afternoon, Mr. Abiodun Oni, a man of many parts, a man with quite an intimidating CV. And he is the Director General, Oyo State Mineral Development Agency, Executive Chairman, Peseta Mineral Development Company, and he is the Chairman of Oyo State Mineral Resources and Environmental Management Committee. He is also the Chairman, Nigeria Marble Mining Company. He is a member of several professional associations. Welcome to Guest of the Month, Mr. Abiodun.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today to play a part of your program as Guest of the Month. And I don't take it for granted. For full disclosure, most of the appointments that I have referred to, I'm now former, not really substantive, former, everything that you have mentioned, the Director General, the Chairman, because I've had to resign my appointment because of, I'm sure you will get to that in due course.
You'll be running for the House of Representatives.
Yes. So I've had to resign, by the constitutional requirement before contesting for this.
Former
office.
DG or your state mineral.
Former everything except my name. It's only my name has not changed.
Okay.
I know Okunjeje is still there.
Yes, because I want to say that we all know that people call you Okunjeje.
Yes.
And it's still there. We thank God for that.
Yes.
Mr. Abiodun, let's go to the early beginnings, as we always do on this program. What was it like growing up? And what informed your interest in geosciences and the solid mineral sector?
Thank you, Olutu. I like to, I always say that it's okay when you're having a Yoruba interview to go to English, but it's not really okay when you're going from English to Yoruba. But I think we have a Yoruba audience. So whenever it comes, I'm sure you guys will pardon me, because it's in the DNA, right? So, my journey started, of course, as a toddler, and I'll just try and briefly, because I know we have a few minutes, hours to go through, because if we start talking about how I started from A to Z, so I grew up in Ibadan, bred and brought up in Ibadan, although I was born in Delta State, because to a military man and a school teacher. I was born during the war time. And my father thought, instead of going around with the kids and the family, he stationed us in Ibadan after we left Abeokuta. And Ibadan has really brought everything that I am today, So I went to Army Children's School, Mokola. I went to Army Children's School, Iwo Road. Then at the end of primary school, I went to Bishop Phillips Academy, where Providence brought myself to meet with His Excellency Engineer Oluwaseyi Abiodun Makinde. He was his senior prefect, I was social prefect, So then from there, I went to the university. I studied geology. Very interesting question about how I got to study geology. So at first, I wanted to be a pharmacist, right? And Providence didn't let that happen. Providence let geology happen. And when that came to bear, I was like, okay, geology. I come from Igbeti, and behind, if you know Igbeti, we have Okeyamokpo. Okeyamokpo is, I think, is the biggest hill in Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned. The bigger than, but okay. So, and when we were growing up, when you call to Yamokpo, it responds to you, and so whenever you say, it comes back and says it, and I'm like, okay, so this is Yamokpo. In the secondary school, I liked geography, although geography was majorly about what's on the surface of the heart, the physical features and all that, and the environment and how human beings relate with it. Then geology came, and I remember always talking to Yamokpo, and he responds to me, and I'm, this would be an opportunity. So even if I don't do pharmacy, I can do geology and understand how this actually happens.
Respond as an echo.
Yes. So for me, I didn't understand what that was. So I was like, as a baby, I thought, oh, so something talked back to you from there. So now that I have the opportunity to study geology, maybe I will understand what that is. And like I said, Providence brought it all round. I come from Egbeti, Okeogun, and you have mineral resources. 70% of mineral resources in the state is from Oyo North. So, well, thank God for His Excellency to have given me the appointment to oversee that agency. So it just turned around and it became like, did God know something about this when He said, go and study geology, even that's not what you plan to study, and that's how I ended up studying geology from the University of Ibadan.
Let me ask you this. Do you think there is more to Iyamoku more than just a hill that talks back at you?
Well, as at then, I thought there was a mystery about it. Now that I understand science and how you can, it's a sound transmission. If you have a solid echoing background, if you have a solid rock or a solid material, if you talk to it over a distance, it will return your voice back to you. That's actually in the science of sounding, so I did a bit of seismology. The way that you're able to take data from downhole is by sounding, is by what you can call echoing. So you send a message to whatever material is down there, it returns the message, and you're able to analyze the kind of material the sound goes through. So it's so well. So I don't like to sound like in too alaka ways, but it can be attributed to some mystery, but I think it's just science.
Okay, you don't think it's the spirit of the hills?
No.
That's just talking.
So there is so Iyamoku has a history, has a history of Iyamoku himself protecting the people of Igbeti, like what we have right now. Igbeti and the Fulani have lived together for so long, for so many years. Actually, the story of Igbeti is Agbati, which is that in those days, way back, the people of Igbeti were saved from the Fulanis by the hill, because, like what you have in most, there's always a history of war everywhere. But then, Yamoka, people ran up to the hill and it saved us from being taken over by the Fulanis. And that's where the name came from as Agbati, which someone or some people turned to Igbeti. From then there are the three waters up there that shouldn't touch each other. So a lot of mysteries and historical memory with the hill, but I don't think that part of mine is one of those things. Probably a lot of people have different experiences with the Yamoku.
So how has geology helped you in getting reasonable success, achieving reasonable success in your fields of endeavors as a developer?
So that's a very interesting question. Like I said, so I thought pharmacy, so if I couldn't do medicine, I should do pharmacy, and I liked my chemistry, biology, and those were prerequisites to being a good pharmacist. But like I said, Providence didn't let that happen. Then geology came about, and everything I've had to do, though you have to draw a line between what you study in school and what you end up practicalizing at work. I've had an interview that I did the interview, and this guy was in Canada. This guy was like, oh, you're doing very well. We like what you're doing, but we can't hire you because we can't keep you excited. And I'm like, how can you say I'm good and you can't hire me? But anyway, they didn't. So, but all I have done until recently, actually, in the public sector, has been a bit away from what I studied in school. All I have done from the beginning of my work as that geology has helped me is seismic, and measurement while drilling. We didn't really teach seismology and geology in school. But when you get out there into the private sector, you have to actually cherry pick or being cherry picked by people that hire you. then you go there and you become an expert in the field. It has really, really worked well for me, from being a seismologist in CGG, which was a French company. As a copper, I ended up there as a seismologist related to geology. Went to, I worked with Baker Hughes Intake. Large span of my professionalism was with Baker Hughes Intake. I rose there to become a global executive, went to GE, where I learned a whole lot about being a global executive because of the kind of training and exposure that you have in General Electric. So it's been quite interesting and rewarding to have studied geology, and it came back, looped around, and I believe if there won't be Ojuro, and we're going to write the memoir of mineral development in Oyo State, the time and term of His Excellency Governor Seyi Makinde will be one of the, trailblazers don't really get the gain of what you start. That's a cliche, and it's actually here. We have started something really big and fantastic, and I know that, and I know our incoming governor, by the grace of God, Mr. Adekombi, will continue what we have started.
Your party, the APM.
Yes, APM. Okay. And that's it. Continuity really works for everything.
Okay. All right. Let's look at your professional philosophy. How has this shaped your experience in decades, about 3 decades, I think, that is spent in the industry?
So professional philosophy is what? It's what you, so when you are in school, primary school, secondary school, nobody teaches you how, I always make it laugh. Your parents don't even teach you how to have a relationship with a man or a woman. You just learn it as you're going along. And from all the exposures I've had, I have seen that no matter how much you are good with your technicality, your technical experience, you still have to work with people. You have to be disciplined with what you're doing operationally. Like in the oil and gas, safety is very, very important. It is key. Then after safety, you have to work with people. Teamwork is very important. Then it now gets you to now having a defined philosophy, like I always said, and those I have gathered from all the places I have worked with. Leadership quality is important, and because when you're thinking about your leadership quality, think about how you lead people, your vision and mission, Then after your leadership quality, you think about what else can I do and make sure you don't have operational wastage. Then you come to lean management. And above all, no matter how smart you are, brilliant or funded you are, if you don't have interpersonal skills with people you are working with, I believe, from all I have worked, wherever I have worked, you must give ownership to people you're working with, And I draw my example from, I'm a Christian. We had a program in church one time, and the pastor said, oh, no. So you are only a leader when people can follow you without a reward of some sort. That's when they believe in you. That's when you're a leader. Not when because you can be paid and compensated. That's when people go out of their way, to help you prosper and fulfill whatever you want to do as a leader. So, working all over the place has helped define those leadership skills and quality.
Well, in the course of this discussion, we'll still come to what is being done in the solid mineral sector under the watch of the Seyi Makinde administration. But for now, I still want to hold you on to the growing up years. And I want to believe the days of youthful exuberance were spent in Ibadan. And I want to ask you this, Mr. Abioduni. If you are to compare the social life in Ibadan then with now, especially nightlife in Ibadan, Ibadan by night, and then we have stories of people saying that they were the Alaye 70s and all that. I don't know, were you an Alaye 70 or an Alaye 80s, and what was it like, the social life, the nightlife in Ibadan at the time?
So it's funny. Way back in our time, so we didn't have a social, what do you have now? Social media and stuff. So we were the social. It's what you do. It's whatever you do that that you take with you.
The days of the cinema.
Yeah. So our growing up socially was more when we went to serve, which is not in Ibadan, but in Port Harcourt. Okay. Because in Ibadan, really, it was just more, and I'm not patronizing or pretending to be such a good guy in school, but we're more about reading and passing, getting out of the secondary school, doing your WAEC exams, getting to the university, So it was not really a very, very sociable time. Of course, you do what teenagers will do, but we're not really high up there in the social echelon of the society, especially because most of the people, if you've gone to Bishop Phillips Academy, entry points, exit points is still within the middle class range. So you are not really empowered to do much more of what the kids do, although we had a car to drive once in a while.
You didn't need much to paint the town red at that time.
So for me specifically, my younger brother, the only car we had to run around, he went and crashed it, so that's it. So we didn't have another car to run around and do those stuff. But it was quite an interesting time going on. Yeah, because I remember coming to BCOS, there's an end of the year thing that
exhibition
that happens here. I remember coming with a friend of mine, and it was Fela Kuti. It was all the way. Even we're going on the street here with His Excellency. One of the period, the place was blocked, and we're on there. A lot of things that just like when they say when you are in Las Vegas, what happens in Las Vegas stays in. So what happens in Ibadan stays in Ibadan. But we were, brilliant, buoyant kids growing up in Ibadan.
To more serious business now, in the course of your career,
yes, sir.
Now you've been privileged to work in many countries and regions of the world. And in these places, the discovery and exploitation of solid minerals is always a blessing. But for Africa, Nigeria and Africa, the story seems to be different. The discovery and harnessing of these resources always seems to be a cause, from Sierra Leone's blood diamonds to the mineral resources that have induced banditry in northern Nigeria and across other communities here in Nigeria. The communal clashes, the spilling of blood that have retarded developments in these host communities. Is it in our genes not to make the most of what we have as Africans?
So, for full disclosure, I would like to say that anything I say here is personal. It's not the government position. Like I said, I've retired from I have resigned from the services of the government, which I'm very entirely grateful to have been part of. And as a matter of fact, if it wasn't for what I have done, what we have learned there, I wouldn't even be here, not to talk of thinking about campaigning to go to the federal rep, It's different, So first, my experience all over the world wasn't as much for mining, but for oil and gas. My trip, corporate experience, global working around has been with oil and gas, not so much for solid minerals exploitation. But it's the same, But what we have learned is that for some reasons, mining draws banditry, extremism and violence to it.
Sorry, Mr. Abiodun, let me just butt in. When I say blessing or curse, I also have in mind the oil and gas sector, especially in Nigeria.
So that's where I'm going. So you will see that, so generally, worldwide, so I'm going to bring that back home. Oil, and we have seen that mining brings to itself, or it is attracted to more of banditry, extremism, and all violence more than oil and gas. So I think the reason is because oil and gas is actually more structured, has been around for a while than. So I take that back. Mining has been around as well, but it has not really. So when oil and gas came, it overtook mining, So mining became a resource economy exploitation, So we now have oil and gas being a bit structured, but mining is not, But outside Nigeria, mining is a blessing to most countries that have its structure. So what we have in Nigeria is not so much about the mining itself or the mineral itself, it's about the structure, the institutional memory of how do we get the best out of this wealth that we have. I used to say that it's a big initiative, and I call it billions in the ground. The big is B-I-G, billions in the ground, because what we have down there is unbelievable. So in the course of serving the governor and the government of Oyo State, we've had a couple of interactions with investors, and there was one investor that we sent. So in mining, exploration is very, very expensive. It's the exploration part that takes the money, and I don't think we have not spent, maybe, I don't think we've spent 20 million naira on this exploration data. So you see, it's the minimal entry point of data gathering that we send to this investor. They want to come like that. And in the world, in the mining industry, you don't just go and invest $20 million, $300 million with a 20 million naira data gathering. But it's because of what we have, So I cannot call it a cause. I think we just need to do better, Like everything, like NEPA, like groceries, like supermarkets, everything in Nigeria, we just need to do better and harness the resources that we have everywhere.
These investors that you are talking about, are they not the same people that sponsor the criminal networks because they want to cut corners? We have had stories of these investors sponsoring banditry just to have their way. And the Chinese are particularly fingered in these things when it comes to these issues in Africa.
Well, so like I said, this is entirely my opinion, and I don't want us to live here and they go and say, he's your state, No. And we have our arguments, we have our, disagreements and all that stuff. You're going to help me. Right? So I'm not a very good English expert. So I think we can translate that literally. If you don't have a crack in the wall, you can't have a lizard going there. So when we
come to that,
when we start pointing finger. So I used to publish a magazine. I think it's on one of the citations you've had called Kiba. This guy wrote for us he's a white guy that writes from Ghana. He said it's lazy to point fingers. And there's a Yoruba proverb that says when you're pointing your finger, so when pointing a blame finger, you have like the other four pointing to yourself. Yeah. So, did the Chinese just walk into Nigeria? So when are we going to start taking responsibility? The Chinese, and it's not only the Chinese, it's everybody. So the mining sector is my sector, and I feel very bad when you see people that don't know, even people that know, whenever they have mining, they add illegal to it. There's no, I've never heard anybody say legal mining. Mining just sounds like anything mining is illegal, and it's not true. There are a lot of legal miners, there are a lot of legal people that are mining legally that are out there doing what they should do and bringing revenue and resources to the people. But there's a gap. There's no doubt there's a gap. And if we don't start taking responsibilities, we're going to be pointing to the wrong people. We're not, just dealing with our problem.
So how do we now dig into these billions in the ground? How do we get it structured? And how do we get the very best out of it so that we have a good revenue coming from it without going into any problems or giving us any problems?
If I answer that question, and I will, because that's why I'm here, right?
Okay.
See, one of my PAs, executive assistant, we're having a conversation about this interview, and she had said she harped on policies and regulations, and how we have to strategize and have the right layer of, intervention at what point, and very academic lady. And I said to myself, all those things are existing. You know that in Nigeria, we're not devoid of policies or regulation. I'm sure. So when I worked with Unitech Drilling, I was a big manager there, and we went to Kenya. They invited us to Kenya. It's the government of Kenya, not a company. It's the government of Kenya that invited us to come and talk to them about the local patronage of indigenes in the oil and gas. So they wanted to piggyback and relate with our template. So that's all the way to Kenya. So those things are existing. We have a law, we have the act, we have a bill, and they're all there. But I tell you where my personal opinion comes from. If the state, the subnational, and the federal, if the federal does not have a handshake with the state government, the mining sector will not move 1 inch. I stand to be quoted. See, you cannot stay in Abuja and say that, you want to run. You don't even know what's going on. I've been in meetings with some people there in Abuja that they form a committee to address some issues going on here. They don't even know Lokoja. Not to talk of talking about Ondo before you get to Ibadan. Even if you fly, they don't even know Lagos. And then we're not even partaking in that. It was just a conversation that we're having, and they said, we have a committee here. Those things will not work. And when you say that you own what is in the ground, but the state owns the gate to what's in the ground. How do you get in there without a handshake? Everybody needs to own something. Like His Excellency will always say, if you throw a skin in the game, then you are responsible for something. His Excellency, when I was there, approved for us some money to set up a task force. And this is something I was working with one of the guys in Abuja in the federal government. They changed the person there, and the new guy was not interested. So because there is no institutional memo, no institutional establishment on what we should do, then when you change people, things change. So the state, we will come back to this, the state needs to be part. I understand the exclusivity law and all that. It's fine, but we can find a way around it. Even if you give the state 10% of whatever is going, and that's what we try to do. We try to revise and review the CDA with the community, and the federal government is upset. They're upset that we're trying to help them do what they don't have oversight on. We're local. So if you don't have that handshake, I am here. By God's grace, we're going to live long. That's the only thing we need. Like the forest we have here, where we have all these unfortunate issues. God bring back our children. We, as a government, the governor has tried to see that we take over that forest management, but it's just not working. There's no way. So when evil people will still be evil, right? But you can measure that things will not be as bad. If that place is busy, if it's being exploited, if we're tapping the economic resources and wealth that is there, so these people that are there will probably be doing something else. It will be an open space. Some guy told me we had an issue last week, again with the bandits. If we clear 5 kilometers into the forest, right and left, it'll be exposed. So there's no place to hide for these people. If they're going to hide, it's 5 kilometers away. But you don't even have the right to do that because the federal government forest reserve. So, back to the point. There needs to be a handshake to optimize what we should be getting from the mining sector.
You seem to be talking about resource control, if I get your drift.
Yes, I don't want to use that.
Okay, so I want you to be precise on what needs to be tinkered with in the Constitution as we have it presently to give more advantage to the states and the host communities. True to what you said, we have seen situations where somebody will come and start mining, and when he's accosted, he will just brandish a permit from Abuja. Whereby the state is saying that you don't have permit to operate here, he will brandish a permit from Abuja. So what do we need to tinker with precisely in the Constitution? What do we need to amend as regards the issue of resource control?
So I have to meddle with caution in answering that question because I'm vying to go to the House of Reps. So people don't misunderstand what I'm thinking and what I plan to do. So they don't think I'm going to fight there. But we're going to work hard, because we have to seek consensus, right? I don't think what we need to do probably would not be, in the first instance, would not be liked by the Niger Delta people. Because they will be thinking that you want to take the mining sector away from the exclusive list. I don't want to do that. Leave it on the exclusive list.
They have the oil. Why would they?
No, because the oil is on exclusive list. Oh. So if you say take the mining off exclusive list, what if I'm from, my mother is from Niger Delta anyway, so I'm 50-50. So and I'm going to think with my mom. So okay, so is it fair? Is it fair now because you guys have minerals and all that, so you're thinking about that, then you want to keep the minerals resources to yourself? I don't think it's fair, but there's a way around where we can come to a strategic agreement that, look, guys, this is where oil and gas is. This is where mining is. Let's bring mining up to par. If mining doesn't get improved, we cannot get the best of it. But for it to get improved on, we need to give some concession, So I know I'm not answering the question the way you want it, but like I said, so if we're able to get it to this level where you guys are, then we can start talking about leveraging, opportunities and what should actually be for mining and oil and gas. So, but if we don't give in some concessions for mining to get up there, so one of the concessions is giving some form of ownership to the state, like I mentioned earlier on, decentralize the governance of mining. Get the state to bring in, like what we're doing in the Pay Center Mineral Development, which is an initiative of the federal government to have a state company that's a limited liability company. If we're able to have a lot of that, the state knows that it will generate money from it. You put in money in it. You put in presence. You put in control, put in governance. But when, like you said, when you come and we're taking crumbs, some people are benefiting from this. When the guy comes and say, I have, one of the guys that got us into this argument with the federal government, that the federal government said we're interfering, has been mining in this town for 7 years without the CDA, Community Development Agreement. And we're trying to sort that out to have something that will be benefiting for both parties. No, they said it's non-exclusively, so you don't have the right to do that. No, sir, we will not sit here and let people come and cut away our resources and we don't have benefit. If what we're able to do alone is to stop that, the next people that come will benefit from it. But the minimum, today, 90% of stakeholders in the mining sector will call the agency that we're about to sign this letter of consent for this, should we go ahead? That's a form of control. It was never there before. 200,000, 100,000, one Sienna bus that is broken and damaged with no tires and batteries is given to one king and they sign letter of consent. Letter of consent is the key to licensing, to mine. And that's the key to everything. So the executive order signed by the governor has helped us in a way, to have a bit of a control over mining, So I'm not naive about getting to the promised land, as mining. But with what we're setting up, like His Excellency will always say, and this is not something he said in the corner of his room. He said it to us. He said it to the Minister of Saudi. He said it to the President. His Excellency, the President of Nigeria. Let us be a lab rat in Oyo State. Just follow us with what we're doing. But then it's not, yeah.
We have also seen
it can be overwhelming, not frustrating, but overwhelming.
We have also seen situations where when you actually leave the host communities, maybe in collaboration with the state government to manage these resources, the results are not often very pleasant. And how do I mean? I want to narrow down to Oyo State and Igbeti, where you come from, Igbeti Mabu. I've been hearing that as far back as when I was a boy. And what I hear is that the communities are always at each other's throats for control of this resource. Talking about narrowing down to Oyo State now. And then why is it just about the federal government now wanting to control everything? Is that why Igbeti Mabu is not living up to its potential of being a major revenue earner for the state? Or the host communities themselves are the ones that give this leverage to outsiders when they cannot agree on that structure that you have spoken about?
So like I said, if you don't have a crack in the wall, the lizard don't have a place to go into. So it's a different, so like we as a people, as human beings, there are different problems that we have to encounter, even in your house, to get some things done. Yeah, majorly is what we have discussed about the handshake. And even if you have those handshake, the problem we have in Igbeti probably won't even be there. I'm not blaming, I'm just saying that we need the institutions to be robust and firm. Then we'll get the best of our resources, Yeah, it doesn't mean that we don't have issues. Yeah, like you said, the community have their own issues. As is in Igbeti, is in everywhere, Nigerian Marble specifically, I was one of our senior leaders in the community who was a commissioner for trades and something, and he said, look, Biodun, I feel for you, just pray. Because when he was referring to himself, when he got into be a commissioner and he said he had like 5 projects on his plate to fix, and he fixed everything except Igbeti Mabu. He couldn't fix it. And he was thinking like, oh, is it jinx? And I'm like, no. Those things, I don't believe in, I'm not superstitious anyway. Not that I will go and hit a ball, Norita Meta, but I stay away from those kind of, And it's like, I don't want those jinx things, Boy, it's been tough to get Igbeti Mabu to get up. So we've had issues, we have executive intervention, we've had people intervention. But I'm glad to tell you today that we have moved. So I think my stance that day has worked for me, that I don't think we'll be jinxed in my time, and we're not jinxed. By the special grace of God, today we have an investor in Igbeti Mabu that is spending close to 2 billion naira or $2 million minimum.
Impressive.
Yeah, he has equipment there. They are putting infrastructures there already, and it has been. And we still have issues, Drew, with people that were there that don't want to leave. They have relationships here and there. It's affecting, but we're sojourning on. We have a collective agreement that this must not fail. It's too big to fail. So I think I'm hopeful that in about 6 months we should be inviting His Excellency to come and commission something there. And the people right now, we have about 70 people being employed. Some people get up to like, I didn't even know that, about 250,000 naira take home. So, and that's at the entry level. There are not a lot of technical or skilled employment there yet. So, and I think that's what you want from those kind of.
Are there people from the host communities?
Host community, because that's what I want to know too.
So like I've worked in the oil and gas industry. You have to, if you want a business to grow, you can't be stuck to, it has to be the host community people alone. If the skill set is there, yeah, by all means possible. If the skill set is can be found within the host community, of course. But if it's not, we're not going to be waiting for the time an host community person is able to, because time is money, right? Return on investment does not have a ceiling. So yeah, as much as we can, we have people. So like I said, this is as business, right? We can't, in as much as we have to be cognizant and sensitive to have some sentiment, we should as well be, sensitive to the pocket of these guys that are bringing the money, Honestly, and we're not even going to have that situation. If this guy comes and brings $2 million to any community, there's no way, even if you don't employ anybody in the community, that is not going to affect the town. People will be selling, there will be employment, there will be accommodation, there will be food, So yeah, I'm hopeful that that will take us very far into the future.
So it will benefit the community so much that they'll be happy that that is happening already. And I want to say it is commendable.
Thank you.
So that we have things like this around us. Now, let's look at the environment itself, our environment. How do we sustain or contribute to the sustainability of the communities within the environment that we operate?
So I'm sure you're referring to me as a former commissioner. I'm very former now, so of environment. We put a lot of things in place, to get the environment improves. So for all the stuff that doesn't really need people, like planting trees, making sure we have a green environment, those things are within the ambience of what you can control. Like you have to go into communities, give them equipment that they can use, that brings a green factor, all those type of environmental stuff. But when it comes to waste management, that's where the issue comes in. It has to do with people and orientation. It's irrespective of what the governor does as regards, like you always need a handshake for everything you do. The people, our people must have a handshake and agreement with the government in sustaining the waste disposal policies, so you can have a clean environment. The governor will not come. So the only responsibility the governor has, go to the office, talk to his commissioner for environment, sign policies, execute. In his own house, he's paying for services rendered by waste management people, and that's it. You and I and yourself have the same responsibility. If we are responsible in our immediate environment to sustain cleanliness, you have waste on the road like we have here. When I became the Commissioner of Environment, His Excellency Engineer Makinde sent me to Enugu State. Then I went to Cross River State. I went to Cross River State on my own intention, and the governor said go to Enugu. And they're not doing anything miraculous. No. As a matter of fact, in one of the states, they put the waste bin, the big waste bin, somewhere on the road, and I'm like, this cannot work. No. When I was going in the morning, when I came with an early flight. When I was going in the morning, the thing was almost filled up, And when I was going back in the evening, they had emptied it. And in that morning when it was all, people were waiting in line not to throw the waste into the... And a friend of mine, he almost bulldozed me because I was like, oh, that's true. He said, no, they caught him. And I saw, it's funny. So, but he left his house, had a bin he needed to dispose of, and threw it in the bin box in Sabo, and they caught him. And he called me, oh, they've caught me, blah, blah, blah. But I think in the abroad, this is not, you should be commended for not throwing your waste on the road, That's what happened. And I was with him, I agreed with him, I'm like, oh, that's true. Why are they troubling you, for doing that? And you have to pay, they take you to court. Then I called someone in the ministry. And I'm like, oh, this guy is trying to be a good citizen. No, the lady said no, the director said no. People are paying, in Sabo, they're paying for that service. Your friend should pay for service of disposing of his waste at home. So bringing that waste to someone else's that is paying is fraudulent. And I remember that's what they do in the abroad. You cannot go and put your own waste in another person's bin because they're paying for the service. So if we all come together and have the ownership that, look, we want our environment to be clean. The policies and regulations are there to help us, but people must want to do it. One of the times we arrested one woman and an older lady way back, and she said, oh, no, I'm a widow. I said, well, my mother is a widow as well. She doesn't go to the street and throw beans, So it is a responsibility for the people as well.
Now, this you have spoken about, and I know Ibadan people will come at me for saying this, but there seems to be that norm here in Ibadan city, that generational or ancestral, where you grow up thinking that it is right to dump refuse right in the gutters. It is right when you are driving on the streets around Oje for your tires to march on something, and then there is a burst, and then you find out that you have driven on human waste. I have seen successive governments are not quite willing to tackle this and in this indiscriminate dumping of refuse due to political exigencies. The last government that I saw that actually took the bulldozer approach was the government of late Senator Abiola Ajimobi. And even later on, when they wanted to do second term, he relaxed things a bit. Governor Seyi Makinde has also, well, he has been trying his best, but he insists on doing things with a compassionate face. And this doesn't seem to be achieving quite the desired results. What do you think?
So that's what I said, is the people. And you have to ask the governor this question. I mean, because he has tried, so he's a compassionate person, and he's firm as well, and he tries to balance these things. And what do? Are you going to kill people that refuse to? And it's not only Ibadan. I'm sorry, it's notorious here, and it's notorious in Isenyi as well. Isenyi, oh my God. And so like I said, I came in from Lagos yesterday, and Lagos is even worse today than Ibadan. Because people have just decided to, I think the system is broken in Lagos for some reason, because you see the trucks are lining up, like 500 of them are lining up and not being able to dispose their waste. But if you have all the policies, are you going to kill people? Are you going to have that? We spent, when I was in the ministry, we spent money on sensitization, on talking to people. In fact, at some point, I went to the extreme of telling the government that, in Cotonou, what they do is, Cotonou or Benin or whatever, one of those are neighboring countries. When you're found guilty of waste disposal where you shouldn't, they tie you so I think the governor thinks because I'm a soldier Peking, that's what are you talking about? They tie you to the boss in the public, in the market. Not with chain, but you are there, and there's no way, if you have those kind of things, people who want to commit offense, But then, how are you going to be branded? These days of social media and stuff, We tried. Let me tell you something. When I came, we went to, so it's difficult to start mentioning names so they don't come at you and myself and you. We went to one of the neighborhood, very notorious, in Ibadan. We met with all the leaders. We had a fantastic meeting. We had a lot of promises. We exchanged agreements. And I was going to be doing naming and shaming. So with the first we did, and intentionally, I didn't go to that community for the first shaming, So we named best and we shamed the worst. We named the best, shamed the worst, not this community. When we went to this community, the next time we did the shaming, it was politicized. Yes, that's intentional, because you people, you don't want us here, this, that, and it died. It died. Yeah, but I think like the training I have from General Electric, everything, you cannot even have 100% of any process perfect or done. Even they tell you, even when you have 100%, then you have not achieved anything. So it's a continuous improvement on how we manage this waste disposal. I don't think people should wait until we have a draconian, application of dealing with people to deal with waste. It's a no-brainer. How would you want your child to look at you? And mommy, oh, you're such a dirty mother. Or daddy, why are you throwing that in? Then the political way, our people that knows people in government should stop interceding for people. We call someone in Oluyole And before I left that place, I had one big man call me. Say, no, that's it. I said, okay, sir, but they have to pay. Oh, pay is not a problem. So they always pay. And when I was there, what I did was, okay, if you come and tell me, oh, that's my brother. Oh, this guy is doing this for us and all that. We can't. I said, okay, I'll pay. So at least we're able to do something. We move from the norm of not doing anything. So when I pay for him, he won't come and meet you tomorrow, and he won't come and meet me tomorrow. The next time he messes up, they will take him to court. You know? Yeah, so if I tell you that it's easy, it's not. I commend the current Commissioner of Environment. I mean, I know for a fact that he's doing his best, and I see that His Excellency commissioned the Climate Policy Executive Council yesterday. So environment is big for all of us, you know, and we must continue to make sure that we partake in how we maintain and sustain the environment. It behoves on all of us we're all stakeholders in how our environment is and how we live in there.
Now, before we leave that, Ibadan, the tale of two cities, and when you were in that seat as the environment commissioner, did you ever did you ever think of the possibility that talking about the old and the new, talking about the Bere Uje, talking about the challenge Ring Road, talking about Bodija, Idiarere, and like I said, the old and the new. Did you ever think that there is a remote possibility that the old could become like the new, urbanization of the old? I mean, and of course, you know how conservative people in those communities can be. That is how they've been brought up to think that their environment should be. So I don't know if there's any thing about a master plan, a future master plan for Ibadan City.
So of course, there always so the urban IUFMP has a master plan for Ibadan. It's in a drainage system, and in consideration of how we live as regards to our drainage and waste management and waste disposal. That I know there's some kind of master plan, you know, that I think the IUFMP, by the time I was leaving, IUFMP was going to hand over their projects to the Ministry of Environment. I'm not sure how far that has gone and where it is right now. But for me as an individual, I don't want old Ibadan to be like new Ibadan. No, there's something called institutional memory. I want the red roof to be preserved. That is our identity as Ibadan. But it should be clean and tidy. Okay. So can you really say that the new Ibadan is cleaner than the old Ibadan? Not really. You know, so the new Ibadan has all these highways running through, and you still have all the waste and all that on the street, on the road. So for me, I would rather, like if you go to Italy, if you go to France, Dallas, the places I love to hang out the most in these Western countries are the old places. Where you have the big trees, you have the memory, you know, where you have a history, you know. That's what I think we should have in the old Ibadan. Preserve it. I have a friend that when we travel around in Nigeria, the pictures he takes are those old houses where they have all those cornices, all those funny and interesting windows and all that. My father's house in Igbeti, I don't want to change aside from maintaining and making sure there are no dilapidation there. I want to preserve it. So we should preserve our history. We should preserve our time. But preservation does not mean filth, does not mean dirt.
No,
we can
that's exactly
preserve our old city and it can be clean.
Everything.
You know, live the way it is. That's what the kids then, and these days that they don't even teach history in school anymore. That's a history there, you know, that at least if you go there, you can ask questions. My 50th birthday, we came with all the family, and I've forgotten the name of this place now, behind the palace. the Bars Tower.
Okay, master.
Mars Tower. It's history. You know, it's history within the environment. The kids, all these kids from the abroad, they were excited about asking questions about where we are coming from. This is our heritage. They looked at the red roofs. They took pictures, you know, posted on internet. That is who we are. And we can be that, proceeding and progressing to the new and preserving our heritage.
But we need to change our mindset of being, keeping dirt or throwing things on the streets and making the whole environment
that belongs to the people. It belongs to the people to have that mindset and say, look, you know what? And you know, we have gotten that. Yesterday, I wanted to film Lagos and see how bad, how dirty the streets are. No, but they quickly they'll send Ibadan to the TV and see how dirty Ibadan is. We've earned that name, unfortunately, you know. But I think, like I said, we have to, you know, have an ownership in how we want our environment to be. Successive governments has come. They tried their best, you know, but the only constant factor that has not changed is the people. Yeah, the people has not changed, but the governments are changing and they're doing their best. So we have to, I get upset sometimes, like, when I'm listening to some radio program, they're always hampering and hammering on the government. And, you know, call the people out as well. People that bring those things and drop on the highway, you know, it should count for something that some people are just doing that.
I don't know. Maybe some people would just feel throwing dirt on the streets, on the road, to litter everywhere is the way to live. But no, we need to be conscious of our health too, so that we don't run into issues. Let's look at the economy. These days, Nigeria is facing a lot of economic hardship. So how do you assess the current state of the economy? Maybe it's different from your own view, sir.
No, I mean, so I wake up in the morning and I turn on the tap. I know that this tap water is coming from a borehole. So even if you have those kind of comfort, you still go out there to buy diesel or buy petrol or send someone or have a staff. So the reality is not, it's not different for all of us, you know. Yeah, you can say, oh, there's a cushion somewhere there. Yeah, but at the end of the day, like when so I'm a politician, when we're sharing stuff and they say, okay, this one belongs to this, I say, give me, even if I'm the one empowering people, giving rights, stay on the line and take my own rights or take my own whatever. And it's because there's someone that will benefit from me that I know. You know, so the economy, of course, it's not where people are suffering. You know, today I was leaving the house and my light went off like 10 times. It was just pum, 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 pum. It comes with a cost, you know. And I can imagine, so even if you're a billionaire and you have 100 million naira budget 3 years ago, it's not the same thing. Even the cost of money, the value of 100 million naira 3 years ago is not the same this year. You know, so it is harsh, it is difficult, you know. At the end of the day, fortunately, I like to say fortunately, we don't have another country. We don't. As a Christian, we're taught to pray for our leaders, right? We're taught to wish our leaders well. So here we are. We found ourselves here, leading one way or the other. We need prayers. When I go around, you know, campaigning and talking to people, I say the only thing you guys owe me is to pray for me. Just pray. That's all. Just pray for me so that I do well. If I do well, you'll be fine. You know? So all you owe me is to pray for me, and all I owe you is to do well. Then we have a handshake. You know? So the economy is biting. It's not working for many people, for most people, you know. But what do? We just have to keep at it and Like I always say, if everybody put in is 1%, not even 10%, I used to say 10%. If everybody put in is 1%, at least the needle will move away from where we are today. So think about, there's something, because they are lucky and we are not. And I'll tell you why I think so. Because in their time, when they were building and strategizing, they didn't have anywhere to go to, right? So they stayed in there, plowed in all the effort, the good and the bad, and had a country. But today, the energy, the engine of success, sustainability, and progress that is in that age range is jackpotting. And they met on the ground, our generation, that jackpot. So there is really nobody, not enough percentage of people to build this country, really, that wants to put in all. So when I read people say, oh, I don't want to do the sacrifice, I don't want to be the one that will not be suffering. Well, there you go. If nobody's ready to do it, nobody should want to get it, you know. So we can do well. I think we can do well. Yeah, it's frustrating, it's overwhelming, but God will not come down and do this for us.
We'll do it.
Yeah, it has to come from within. And sometimes we say that people get the kind of leadership they deserve or they grow. You know, so if we're ready, I mean, we have snippets of people around. I mean, and I don't want to be patronizing. Our governor has done excellently well. It's data. He likes to talk about data, logic, and science. It's data. People that don't know him, I've read a couple of messages where they say, Boros are your governor. You know, so we have leaders that can get this done. You know, let's just be focused and attentive in making decisions that will help ourselves today and our future.
Still talking about the economy, and you also mentioned the need for all of us to put in at least 1% to move the needle. Now, I want to talk about the needle of the oil and gas sector where you have worked. Now, from your experience, what do you think is the solution to the contemporary rot of corruption in that sector, which has eroded the gains of the oil boom era?
That's eroded?
The gains of the era of the oil boom, those golden days when...
So it's funny you said oil boom. Maybe then the oil boom, I wasn't around. Oil boom, then maybe there was enough money to go around that the corruption wasn't...
the time when money was not the problem, but how to spend it,
yes,
according to a former head of
state. But not that corruption wasn't there. Corruption, unfortunately, seems to be DNA. You know, people gloss over it and lie. There's corruption, and I say with all due respect and responsibility, there's more corruption in the private sector than the public sector. But it's all because public servants has to be accountable to the public. You know, we focus more on what the public officers are doing. So I don't see any difference in what is happening in the oil and gas sector with what's happening in the bank or happening in the public sector. It's just...
But oil affects us all.
Yeah.
It's our life. It's our lifeline.
No. So that's where I'm going. It's not oil. It is us.
Oh.
So people that NEPA, and I'm sorry, it's so fortunate. If this wasn't live, I would have asked for edit. See, what institution do you walk into today in Nigeria that doesn't have corruption? So it dovetails into each other. Like I say, it's the institutional memory. What do we have in our institutions that says, okay, when you're coming in, oh, corruption is not the order of the day? You know, let me make you laugh. So when I got into the public sector, my mother is a retired teacher. This is very funny. And in the neighborhood where they do landlord and landlady association thing, and you know, So there's this guy who's retired, very well-spoken man, is solid. Our civil servants, they really get trained. I mean, I've worked with a lot of civil that I'm very impressed with, They have depth of knowledge of what they are doing. So this man wrote a letter and sent to my mom, gave to my mom, and gave to her to give to me. That those are areas I should focus on in the sectariat. That those places are juicy places. And my mother gave it to me. Naively, she just didn't know what that meant. And I'm like, Mami, Kilele, what's this? She said, so, Mami, she said, oh, I said, yes, that's what that means, that you should go there and focus on, But still, our governor doesn't like you leaving so you have to stay put in where you are, get your job done. So for me, it wasn't even a starter. But that's the memory in the institution, about, and if you leave and you come and you leave, you are hungry, it's the people that will say, look at you. What have you done with your 8 years in service?
I think you put it a little too bluntly. Those people asked you to come and eat, not to come and steal.
It's not the same thing.
Juicy.
It's juicy are juicy. So I have to know and understand more than what my mom will. That's why they send us to school, right? Our kids are supposed to be smarter than us. Sure. When this thing came, this touch screen, my kids knew already where to go to, where I'm still. I call them, we are immigrants. They are natives. They are digital natives. We are immigrants. So you have to be learning. So I'm supposed to understand better what that means without going to the dictionary.
Mr. Ode, there's a question that I've always asked regarding the matter of petroleum subsidy that no one has been able to answer. Now, subsidy had to go, well, according to the current president, and many who would have been president of this country also agree that subsidy had to go, because some people, the subsidy thieves, the cabals, were making nonsense of what was supposed to be the gains of petroleum subsidy. But the question that I said no one has been able to answer, which I've been asking, is that why not make the subsidy thieves, the cabals, why not make them account, why not make them accountable for their sins? Why is it that we, the ordinary masses, are the ones that have to pour out what we have not eaten? So I don't know. Well, I'm a layman to the sector, so that's why I'm asking you now that you've been there. What do you think? Why is it so difficult to bring these people to book, and we all have to pay for their sins?
So I need, as much as I don't want to deflect the question, but like I said, they said, may Nigeria not happen to you. Why are we suffering for, and I'll take the question back to you in a stylish way. Why are we, today we're talking about kidnapping and abduction and banditry, killing and maiming of people being done by people we call bandits. Those guys have the most sophisticated weapons and equipment than even the security people, from all evidences that we have had. Why are we not chasing after their financiers?
That's another big question.
That's another one.
That's what I'm saying.
The same people that are the trouble, that are the problem in the oil sector.
So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. We're chasing after shadows. If you stop by source, it is just like water, borehole. If you run out of water in your borehole, there's nothing to fetch anymore. So even if you bring all your Doro, all the best machine in the world to take the water out of a borehole, there's nothing to fetch. Then there's no water to drink. So we leave those kind of problems and chase after shadows. I'm not the president yet, so I don't know why it's difficult. I don't understand why. It's difficult to chase after people. So what we're just looking for solutions that, and look, am I going to tell the mother of that 2-year-old kid that was kidnapped, really about finances? No, just want solution, get my kid out. That's what is most important to all of us right now, But ab initio, those people we should have gone after those people before now. There are transactions on you, sir, today. If DSS or EFC wants to go through your account, they'll get it in 10 minutes. It's just in your phone call, BVN and all that. So there are transactions of money and stuff that with people we sit down and I have people here that can do that in 20 minutes. You don't even need to give them, we can plot this. I don't know. It's a question I've not been able to answer. But I think if we go after people, to your point, if we go after people that are responsible for this subsidy thing, it'll probably be better. We won't be suffering for it. Yeah, removing the subsidy, I think, is one of the things that should have been done before now. If it was being managed properly, if we have done it years back, I'm sure we'll be in a better place. But the way it was removed without what's it called? Without
necessary palliatives.
This is why we're here. But
do you believe the narrative of submission that Nigeria's refineries might never work again? One eminent Nigerian said that sometimes ago. They said we should stop deceiving ourselves.
I don't know what. From where I come from, people I work with, I don't like to hear no. Because no is impossible. There's nothing like not possible if you put in all the works, Now, so there are times that you shouldn't put in 100 naira in a project that will earn you 10 naira. So all those analyses I don't have. But that something will not work. So if you want anything to work, you put in all the work, it will work. And if you measure what the output will be, if it's worth the input, then we should do it. But if they're saying that, it's not worth revamping it, let's go and do something else, do something new. Yeah, well, I'm up for that with the right data analysis and submission. But that something cannot work again, there's nothing like impossible.
Well, the man has been in the seat as the nation's leader. I think he should know. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, so Nigeria is really, really highly charged with politicizing things. I don't know this person, and I don't want to be quoted as in. But for me as a person, when my people come and tell me that it's possible, that's when I get charged. It drives me, motivates me to, then there's a reason why we must get this to work.
So we should be hopeful that probably our refineries will work and we'll be better for it.
We should. And if we have to jettison it or look for a different model, we don't have to be stuck with getting these refineries to work. Dangote came up with this refinery. It's doing fantastically well. It needs, of course, everything needs improvement, like there's one or two things that they need to do. So we can do something else. If we don't have to be emotionally stuck to the refineries because it's a refinery, it must work. If it's going to cost too much to get it to work, get some other alternative. Like my father's 504, when they passed on, we're not going to sell it, we're going to keep it. The car stood there and it was dilapidated. By the time they even sold it, we didn't know. So our case shouldn't be like that.
Okay.
Sorry, Bola. I just want to ask this. Why is it that almost every Nigerian governor must answer to the EFCC when they leave office?
I'm not a governor, so I can't answer that.
You are a Nigerian citizen.
And so you've
been in government.
You have to ask the EFCC. You see, like I said, if things are not politicized, right, That shouldn't happen to all governors. You see what I mean? Yeah, some people probably have cases to answer. And if they have a case to answer, they should go. I mean, going to EFCC doesn't mean end of the world or you're going to be jailed. If there's suspicions of you answering some questions, go there and answer the questions and you walk out. Not everybody that goes to EFCC that they detain or jail, right? So, but we have seen, to your point, it's a pattern. It shouldn't be a pattern. It shouldn't be that people not being a governor anymore is planning to escape. That's why I think you see so many of the governors are not there on the day of the swearing in, of even their party person that they should hand over to. They are not even there at the handover because of this menace of going after people, after people that have been in the office. If we stop politicizing some of these things, you won't have every governor going to attend to EFCC. I am sure about that. But yeah, I know that some people probably have a case to explain or to answer. But there's no way it will be all governors, that has to. I used to work, when I used to be in this oil and gas job, and I worked with this French company, and so you submit a log. Log is your measurement of where you're drilling, where you have oil or water. And I sent it to this guy, and he asked them to call me. And I go there, and he said, why did you submit this? I said, what's wrong with it? He said, there's no mistake. I said, am I supposed to have a mistake? But 2 days ago, I had a mistake, and I corrected. This one, there's no mistake. Why? I said, go and check it. There has to be a mistake. And I went there, I said, okay, I changed one comma to full stop, and he's happy. So I'm like, must there be? There's no way. So you have that instance where some people will have a near perfect or perfect record, But no, it doesn't happen here.
But the last time...
I think it's a form of... and we do a lot of... what's this thing? Justice and judgments on the social media, and probably it's helpful to some.
Well, the last time I heard that a governor had a clean bill of health regarding corruption was during the Third Republic, and that was Donald Duke of Cross River. He was the one that was given a clean bill of health by the EFCC amongst all governors. I don't know if there has been another governor that has had that clean bill of health since that time.
I've not had. So give it to him. Kudos to him. Must have been over clean to have gotten that. But yeah, I mean, the institution, like I said, the institutions have a job cut out for them. There's a lot of. I don't think we should throw away institutions that are supposedly working to get the best for our people. So it's okay, but we should just not politicize everything that we're doing.
All right, we're live on BCOS TV and also on our radio station, Oluyole FM, Okeogun FM, that's in the Okeogun area of the state, and Agility FM, that's in the Ogbomoso zone of the state. And we are also live streaming on all our social media platforms.
All right, let's go to the issue of the youth, because the children are leaders of tomorrow, and Nigeria seems to have largest, maybe very large population of youths. Is that a blessing or a curse? Then the way we handle our youth today, so what do we expect them to become tomorrow in the future?
So yeah, you're very right about that. And when we were youth, we benefited from the Bola Ige UPN, going to secondary school without writing, what's that thing called? Writing, that's the exam you write before you get into secondary school.
Common entrance.
Common entrance.
And it has everybody going, right? Everybody went into secondary school without writing common. It was the initiative was criticized heavily, But today we have 20-30% of that group have done well for themselves. So what that tells me is that if you give the right movement and opportunities to the youth, you get the best out of the youth. You know, like I think they said is between the age of 18. Lionel Richie, you know, the popular musician, said anything he has that is he wants to create or initiate, he only deals with people within the age of 18 and 35, because that's the innovative and creative age range, you know. So yes, and we have a whole lot of that in Nigeria. Yes, we need to do better. I think there are a lot of initiatives here and there, especially in Oyo State that I know. There is a lot of programs for the youth. You know, you have special advisor, like 2 or 3 special advisors on youth initiative, you know, that bring the youth together, make sure they have a parliament, you know, maintain. So it's not lost on us, on the government of today, about the responsibility and possibility of getting the best out of our youth of today, you know. And honestly, any country that plays with its youth is playing with its future, you know. So like when the former president said that the youth are lazy, you heard the uproar. But yeah, there are a lot of, the youth need to show up as well, you know. Like some of these things, there's nowhere in the world where things are handed over to people willy-nilly. You know, you have to show that you are able to take over this thing, right? And I see, but I listen to some interviews on TV and I see these young guys, these young women, they're really, really astute. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. And so we have that pool of potential. And that's not going to go away. You know, we just keep, to your point, we need to be intentional about managing, and we have to be intentional about managing and you know, bring this resource together. About, you know, we need to have a plan. You know, like in 20 years' time, where do you think the people of 20 years today will be, or what they should be doing in 20? I don't know if those policies are there. I believe will be there. Like I said, Nigeria, the challenge we just have is execution and sustainability.
Right, the NDC presidential...
Like, sorry, in China, so this is off, so they said that 400 million of Chinese people are youth with the best IQ, whatever. What are you going to do with those people? They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to die. They will keep improving and improvising on what the country will have. So whatever, I have an initiative I'm running through. We're developed with a couple of guys. I believe so much in them. The thing I cannot, and I always tell them that I'm like a midfielder. You know, they are the scorer. So I'm the only one, and there are like 5 or 6 of them, and I'm sure we can achieve. So we have programs like that. We have people that believe in what, so I have the resources, they don't have the resources, but they have a brain, you know. We need hubs like that, you know. I would have really loved to have a hub where you bring people together like that, and they're able to express, you know, what they have up there. And the country, the community is better for it, actually, when they're able to harvest the resources and potentials of our youth.
Well, good for the Chinese and what they are doing to encourage their youth population to be part of the development process, like you just mentioned. And perhaps you, like Mr. Peter Obi, the NDC presidential candidate for the coming 2027 election and former candidate of the Labour Party, he said Nigeria youth should take back their country. He said that recently. But how can that be when the same youths are the ones being engaged in the escalation of terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping and other violent crimes?
So, is a bit narrow. I mean, that's the fact that youths are being used for what you have mentioned. But like we said, youth is the engine of the country. The same youth that are doing, that you have youth that are doing very well in their areas of expertise, right? You have youth that are, is a number of youths that develop money points, OP, right? There are youths that are working there. There are a lot of new initiatives that have been developed by the youth. So we cannot, because, there is the youth that are being used, to do terrorism and banditry, then we now say the whole youth are condemned. No. Now, I was reading an article yesterday. The article was really tough. It's actually difficult to mention what that guy had said on national TV like this. But he drilled to the point of where are these banditry coming from? What is their motivation? What is driving them? Those are questions that we can only answer where they're coming from. So what is lacking in the youth of where these people are coming from? And I had a response. And the guy said, you guys are always blaming the victim. That's true as well. But we need to have a balance. We need to come to the middle and look at what is really the problem of a youth that are being used for this banditry and terrorism. How do they get in there? What motivates them? You have a lot of people in the University of Ibadan that are doing fantastically well. You have people that get out of school and they become, the big things that you want your kid to become. They're youths. So it's very parochial to say, our youths are doing banditry and so we cannot always only see the negative side of things. It is bad, as it were. It needs to be fixed, and we should face it head on. But I don't think we are doing that. Like this guy said, actually, to the point, he said the North will kill Nigeria.
So I was about to ask that, how worried are you about the youths and the children in northern Nigeria? And why do I ask this? I am beginning to see a re-enactment of the Almajiri system here, even in southwest Nigeria, involving the local children. I'll give you an example. I was going home and I stepped out through the gates of the corporation one fine evening, and these children looking tattered, I assume they were from northern Nigeria. They came to me to beg. I didn't have much on me. I said, Alaba Musa. They looked at themselves and they both started laughing. Awema Sausa. That's what they told me. They said they are not from the north. Awema Sausa. So I was shocked to see that they were actually Yorubas, and there were quite many of them. If you are, by the time you leave the studio today and you are going home somewhere around that, maybe if you have the luxury of time, you can interact with some of them.
Yeah, they're on the streets. You see them on the streets.
And you will see that they're actually from here. So that is why I'm asking that question about your...
So I'm not trying to trivialize what you're saying. But so before I came to serve the government in Oyo State, so I used to live in 1004 in Lagos, in Ikoyi or VI, whatever other places. And when you step out to go to shop, that's like 12 years ago, there's a woman there. She comes there with they're like 8 kids. They're her grandkids. And they're from Ogun State or something. They come in and beg for money. They could have come from anywhere. It's not about Ogun State, but they're Yoruba-speaking people. So this thing is not new, that we have. I'm not saying it's okay, that you have Yoruba people doing this thing. It's not new, it's always here and there. But because of the sensitivity of the time, of today, we're now saying, we're now thinking, how Yoruba no man she. No, I don't think it's a thing that's just started, Now, is that a good place to be? Absolutely no. It's not good for anybody to be there, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, or whatever. The system is bleeding, and the bleeding needs to stop. period.
Let's talk
Okay.
about your journey from the private sector into public service and now politics. And that brings me to the question of the technocrats in politics. Now, the waters of Nigerian politics are murky. Why do you want to jump in, Mr. Oni?
So jumping, I've been here for since 2011. I've contested for office. I've tried to contest. I contested once, and my name didn't get on the ballot. The second time, my name got on the ballot, and I lost. So it's not new for me, actually, for full disclosure. But you see, when I have always been driven by what you can do for the people, what you can give back to the people. And like, funny enough, when we were in school, I wanted to join the military. So okay, then it's so bad and funny how we've always complained about things not being right. Way back then, we wanted to join the army to go and do coup and just get everybody out of there and fix the country and get the country to work. So we've always had this public service, drive, to get things done. So after a while, working in the private sector, getting the experience, knowledge, you think you can do something. My wife will tell you that if this guy becomes a billionaire and he doesn't have the time to serve his people, he will die a sad man. But if he has a few naira, you let him to serve his people, he's happy. So that's where we are. I just think that after a while, what it's like if you're 80 years old, right? You have not even spent 30,000 days on earth. It's still less than 30,000 days if you're 80 years old. So this life comes quickly and, it goes quickly. So if you're able to segment it, we're in school, you learn, you deliver, you work, then at some point you want to give back. This is the time to give back. Or else people just go away and you become that very rich guy that just gives stipends to people. No, I'd rather get out there. Let's be in the murky waters together. Sometimes it's a friend of mine, not a friend, a senior person in this government actually says that, man, this politics, and because sometimes it gets so overwhelming, and sometimes you have to agree with him. But then some people have to do it. And when people start complaining about, they are not doing that, have you gone to your ward? Do you know where your unit is to partake just in voting? And you want some people to do it. It will not happen, from heaven. I'm talking about being a technocrat. Technocrat is actually, they use this technocrat to come and chance us. The technocrats sit down in their home, in their whatever. We, the politicians, we go out there, we fight, and you look for votes, you canvass, you have sleepless nights, and then some people will come and say they're technocrats. No, we're all schooled. If it wasn't the kind of democracy we're practicing, a system we're practicing, you can't even be anything without being an elected official, So
are you not a technocrat in politics?
No. I am a professional in politics.
Okay.
And it's different from being a professional politician.
Okay.
You see what I'm
So
saying?
what's the difference?
No, so because I'm very upset because they use this technology. We're all schooled. We all have some technical whatever that we have. There are a lot of lawyers. The people that were sworn in yesterday, Dr. Oyele, he's a doctor. A doctor is a technocrat, right? He's a technocrat, but he's a professional in politics. So let me answer your question. Professional politicians are politicians with no second address. All they do that earn them living is politician. Like you have a professional photographer, right? For me, you have a professional golfer. You have a professional footballer, right? But for some of us, is a hobby. So So that's the difference from being a professional in politics. Like, I would rather have us use that than call some people technocrats, and they come from London, they come from America, they're technocrats, they get the best appointments, and people that have been walking on the street, having sleepless nights with the governor and the government, they will say, oh, wait, yeah. Well, they're all a lot, because they have not left their private employment makes them a technocrat. But a lot of professionals that have left private employment, or they're still in the private employment, but they come out as politicians. They're now not regarded as technocrats again. No, we're all professionals in politics. You cannot be serving a government of a state or a country and not be a professional in politics, because when they start sharing appointment, they are considered for where you come from, nationally, from where you come from, your religion and ethnicity. You understand? So that is satisfying a demography, because and you have to qualify for competency as well.
I wanted to ask, why is competence the last on that list?
It's not. It's not.
You just mentioned it last.
No, so because we're talking about professionalism and for being a technocrat, really, you are choosing because by the judgment of the governor or the president, first he knows that it's a reflection of his judgment if he brings a technocrat or professional that doesn't deliver. So the first thing for him or for her must be how competent this guy is. How will he deliver my vision and mission? You know?
Mr. Odi, the late, I'm looking at your viewpoints on Nigerian politics. The late Governor Lam Adesina described people like you as academic politicians. He wasn't trying to promote or encourage corruption. He was talking about what he saw as rigidity on the part of people like you who would not bend, even when it's sometimes necessary to do so. So what do you think?
So that's it. So because you are, and I know where all that is coming, it's a cliche, that the label on people that actually maybe well-read or exposed, you don't have sharawa, no. Everybody has something to deliver, but then, politics, you try to segregate and ID people so that some things can go to somewhere. And like when I started this journey, when I go back to Canada then, and I'm in church and we're having this, I've forgotten this leadership thing in the Church of Men. And when I'm talking there, they're like, no, Brother Abiodun Brother Soro, because he has started politics. When I come back to Nigeria and I'm talking in my constituency, they're like, no, so that's why we have people in the middle that are supposed to be serving, to be doing. It's not going to be an overnight success. Really, if we don't all come in and put in our best, like I said, 1% is enough. Today, most things people are doing is just pointing fingers, sit down behind the keyboard and type and fight and war, and we have to put in more than criticism.
Okay. Our time is fast spent. If you check your time out, it's almost time. But just in a few minutes, your political ambition, maybe then your view and ideologies, just a few minutes, then we'll be able to wrap up the program because of time.
I want to tell you the meaning of Asiko. So, sorry, can you run the question again?
Your political ambition and your ideology too, just in a few minutes.
Okay, so my ideology is to get people involved, really. It's a handshake. Like I've mentioned the handshake over and over again. We have a responsibility. Responsibilities on both sides. If you have been sent there, you are being sent as a servant. Go there, deliver for us. And I think with all sets of responsibility, the way the community owes you is the same way you owe them. You know, at the end of the day, if community pushes you out there, Abiodun is one of us. It's big. It's big to say that we identify with this man. Because that proverb of wọ́n ní kéèyàn mẹ́rin wá ṣe kìíní kan ṣé wọ́n nìkan ni ló wà ní wọ́n kó wá joyè ẹ̀kẹrin ọ̀sán, ṣẹ́yìn mẹ́rin ló wà ní. So there's a responsibility that we owe the people if you have been opportuned by his grace to serve in some aspect of public initiative. So by the grace of God, when we win, I have my specifics. I don't want to go there and be talking about everything under the earth. See, 25% of the GDP of this country is agriculture, right? In Oyo State, the second employer of labor is mining, right? Insecurity today in Oyo State is more in Okeogun than anywhere else, unfortunately. So those are the things I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be asking. We need to be better in agriculture. We need to understand this mining more and how it will benefit our people. There are a lot of stuff going on in our area there that I know by my last calculation a year ago, we've lost close to 500 billion naira. People just cut it away. And we're there, we're helpless because of some policies and regulations, So we have to, step on the game and make sure we deliver dividends of democracy to our people in the areas of security or insecurity, mining and agriculture. If we have all those three things, and we will leave the rest, health, education, and every other, leave it to the federal government, the state government. We cannot do all infrastructure. Let the state government go. When we're well represented, we're doing well, we can have a united front to go and meet the governor. Please, sir, this is what we had a campaign somewhere, and the governor was promising the people that he will bring roads and stuff. No, they said what we want is police station, because that's what they need the most. So what we need the most in our area that I'll be talking about is, drive on agriculture, drive on mining, dividends, and get our insecurity up to what we call security.
Right,
so my ASICO, I've had a lot of, because I like to flaunt some of these things. So they say ASICO, what does ASICO mean? ASICO is 3 in 1, right? ASICO is, ASICO, so instead when conjecture they said ASICO. So I don't want us to be using our local and co, and this ASICO is our time, right? That's what it means as per what it is. Then the A is for accountability, S is for sincere, I inclusive, intelligent inclusive, K is for, what's that K? K is for kind, and O is for objective. Objective, and the one I like the most is the Yoruba meaning, where, so Oni is my name, right? So we have, where we're designing, so